ask us all to rise for the national anthem. As some of you may have noticed, I am not Mayor Glenn McLean. This is, I think, the first time I've actually chaired an entire council meeting, so I ask for a little forbearance if things go sideways. With that, although, I will ask if there's any additions or deletions to the agenda. Excellent. Then can I have a motion for the adoption of the agenda? Councillor Schuler. All those in favour? And that's carried. We have a number of minutes before us. I'll just run through quickly. The October 8th regular meeting of Council, the October 8th organisational meeting of Council, the October 8th 2014 public hearing minutes for bylaw 2014-09P, the October 8th public hearing minutes for bylaw 2014-15D, the October 8th public hearing minutes for bylaw 2014-17D, and the October 14th special meeting of Council minutes. Any corrections or amendments to those? Excellent. Then can I have a motion for the adoption of those? Councillor Bossart, all in favour? And carried. Proclamations. Okay, here we go. This is a proclamation for Bullying Awareness Week from November 16th to 22nd, 2014. Whereas bullying happens once every 7 minutes on the playground and once every 25 minutes in the classroom, and to 1 in every 6 persons in their workplace, and whereas bullying is a relationship problem, it is wrong and hurtful and occurs in many environments, including schools, the community, at work, at home, and online. And whereas unhealthy relationships resulting from bullying not only affect children and youth, but these behaviours continue when they become adults. And whereas children, youth, adults, and communities share the responsibility for and have the ability to prevent and stand up to bullying, to promote healthy and safe relationships for all citizens of Drayton Valley. Therefore, I, Deputy Mayor Graham Long, do hereby proclaim that November 16th to 22nd, 2014 be declared Bullying Awareness Week in the town of Drayton Valley, and encourage all citizens to stand up and to stop bullying and to work together to make Drayton Valley a bully-free community for all citizens. And one more. This is Seniors Falls Prevention Month, November 2014. Whereas seniors are a vital part of our families, communities and province, giving generously of their wisdom, experience and love, and whereas 1 in 3 seniors will fall each year, with 50% of seniors falling repeatedly, and whereas seniors have 9 times more fall injuries than other populations, and whereas falls among our seniors will result in over 8,700 hospital admissions, and over 24,000 emergency department visits each year. And whereas falling and the fear of falling can lead to depression and hopelessness, loss of mobility and loss of independence, and whereas individuals and organisations from a multitude of disciplines across Alberta are working together to increase awareness of this issue and encourage Albertans to take steps to prevent falling, and whereas the quality of life has improved for Alberta seniors who remain healthy, active and independent. Therefore, I, Deputy Mayor Graham Long, do hereby proclaim the month of November 2014 to be Seniors Falls Prevention Month in the town of Drayton Valley. Now somebody else gets to talk. Next up, Community Spotlight, it's the Derek Toastmasters, Mark Hain. Mark, welcome.
Good morning. How's everybody doing today? You can tell I'm a Toastmasters because I have to put on a chipper smile first thing in the morning, bring some energy to the room. I apologize for that. Toastmasters. How many of you know that there's a Toastmasters Club here in Drayton Valley? Wow, okay, so I posed that question just at our recent all-agency meeting with Northwest College yesterday, and not a single hand went up. Oh. Toastmasters International has been in this community we'll be celebrating its 25th year this May. 25 years of supporting personal growth and development. The organization itself just celebrated on October 22nd, celebrated their 90th year. So can you imagine 90 years of personal development and leadership training that spans evolutions and generations and has evolved into what we give to our new members, a Competent Communicator Manual and Competent Leadership Manual. The program is a self-paced, peer-led program. It takes people from where they are today to being effective speakers down the line. I myself am not a public speaker. I can't speak in public. That was my belief. My belief stemmed from grade 9 or 10 when I had to stand up in biology class and present to my peers an anatomy that I was assigned. Being a shy 15-year-old, of course, karma has it, the anatomy was reproductive system. Yep. So as you can imagine, 15-year-olds talking to 15-year-olds, that was my first experience as public speaking. Then, of course, I had to go to college, and I had to present in college. And what was my experience in public speaking? You can imagine. Perspiration, shaking, tremors, absolute panic for 3 hours. I have a belief. I cannot speak in public. 2.5 years ago, I joined Toastmasters. It was something that I saw, and it was like, God, you know, getting up in front of people, not a good thing. I can't do it. But a friend of mine told me how great the program was, and I thought, you know what? I will walk through the portal into the pit of darkness to face it, people that I'd never met before, absolutely petrified to what I would find. Toastmasters is such a supportive organization. All the members are there to do exactly the same thing, to grow, gain confidence, and gain leadership abilities. Toastmasters here in Drayton Valley was on the throes of folding in June. I am a member of the Devon Club, and Toastmasters, knowing that I worked here in Drayton Valley, asked me if I would come and get the club back up and running again. It is an essential component to our community. It's an essential component to getting people to step out of their comfort zone and to grow. So I ask, if you could, in your day-to-day lives, when you see somebody who might be able to use the leadership training that Toastmasters offers, or the communication skills that Toastmasters supports, could you please encourage them to come to Northwest College Wednesday evenings at 7 p.m. The doors are always open to guests. We're a completely non-judgmental group. That's the other fallacy. People go, oh, I can't talk, they're going to judge me. We don't judge, we evaluate, because the whole thing is we all want to grow. I thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mark. Council, any questions? Councillor Bossett, could you?
I'm sorry.
Good morning, Mark. Thank you for coming in. No questions, just comment. When I decided to run for office 5.5 years ago, I figured I better brush up on some public speaking skills. So Toastmasters is where I turned, and only was in the club for a brief amount of time. But I concur with what you were saying about those that come to join Toastmasters. They're all there together to, encourage each other and to help each other along with speaking skills and leadership skills, and it is a great group. It's not just people coming together to learn how to do speeches. There is a whole, like you mentioned, a whole leadership program that I found very comprehensive, and I do encourage residents to come out and support Toastmasters because it's not just about public speaking, it's much broader than that, and it's a lot of fun. So.
It is. And I thank you very much for the comment, because the one thing that you pinpoint is you came for a certain period of time. People will come for as long as it suits them. It could be that we get somebody in who's got they're becoming MC next summer for their sister's wedding or their best friend's wedding. And so they come just to gain that confidence and get a little bit of practice. They don't necessarily want to go through the whole program. The nice thing is for those people who do want to go through the program, they can not only get through the Competent Leadership and Competent Communicator Manual, they can take it even further if they wanted to. So thank you very much for that comment.
Councillor Wheeler?
Thank you for coming. Is there a minimum age?
It is for adults, so we have
Okay.
18 and over.
Okay.
We do have some people come with their 17-year-olds, even though 17-year-olds don't really participate. We do let them participate, they just can't go through the manual and go through, actually through the program.
And is there a cost?
The cost is $85 for every 6 months, so it boils down to about $14 a month. And it's billed we bill semi-monthly. So, you know, I just did a Chamber of Commerce presentation for another community, and I actually broke it down that people saying training's too expensive for my staff. When the Employee and Social Development Canada did a survey, they had participants do $2,300 in essential skills training, and they found that the return on investment for employers was between 120 and 300% to invest in it. And so one of the things I was imploring them to do was, as business owners, encourage your staff to come, because these are your new leaders. These are going to be your managers who are going to be coming in and supporting your businesses as you evolve.
Councillor McClure?
Yes, welcome. Similar to Deb, I've had experience with Toastmasters. Mine was a lot longer ago than that. It was about 30 years ago. And I've often told people that I was a very shy person. And I think that's very hard for most people to believe. So Toastmasters is either responsible for it in a good way or a bad way. Because I was actively involved for about 5 years, and it was hugely life-altering. And mine came from my employer. My employer supported us being involved in it. And so it was quite life-changing for me. Everybody be quiet.
I love that you were voluntold. I've heard a lot of those stories where the employees have said, I'll pay for it, you just go. Yeah. And the feedback I get was, oh my God, it was just incredible. It was an incredible experience. But like you, I'm an introvert. I am a very shy person. Now I can brag that I'm externally an extrovert, but still internally an introvert.
Good for you. Best of both worlds. Anybody else? Thank you, Mark. That was real interesting. Okay, next up we have just the one delegation today, and that's Sergeant DeLille from the RCMP with the September police report. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Thank you for having me for the September report. The good news, the stats are actually pretty good. September was relatively quiet for the town. The majority of the police action was happening in a county. The bad news is it's probably my last time to present it to you guys, so you won't have to put up with my Fringlish anymore. He'll be Staff Sergeant Malcolm Callagher that will be with us. He's coming on November 7th, and from now on he'll be the one presenting the stats. So for September, we received 544 calls for service. We are at the prisoner count. Right now, at the end of September, we had 388 prisoners versus 336 for 2013, so we're on the plus side. I did check month to month to see if we arrested more people for September, and it was the same, 38 last year and 38 in 2014. In terms of violation ticket, 43 were written last year in September, 50 this year, so a little increase. Overall, if we look at the stats, for September, we have a decrease of about 10% for person crimes. Assaults, robbery, and all these things are on the downside. Same thing with property crime, which I like to see. September was kind of very good for us. We had a 23% decrease for property crime, and then a 34% decrease for other crime. That brings us roughly for the year, a slight increase of 3% year-to-date for person crime, 15% for property crime, and 17% for other criminal code, which is pretty much in line with what's going on with other areas. I actually contacted our Operation Strategy Branch and asked to see what was the number somewhere else and what was the average percentage elsewhere in the province, and I was told that the northwest part of the province, which were included, were District WAD, Western Alberta District, there's an increase of about 10%-ish in property crime in that area, and we're about 15, so we're in that category. If we look at drugs, we had an increase, about 33% of people that were arrested for possession for drugs. Like I say, it's always a good thing when we have an increase on that stat. It means that we're out there arresting people, catching the people with drugs. One of those cases was a lady, it was a vehicle stop, and she had like 24 grams of meth, so we were able to charge her for possession for the purpose of trafficking, so that was good. Besides that, that's about it. Really, September was good. It was fairly quiet. During that time, we had a lot of our prolific offenders in jail. We had one that came out just recently, and lucky for us, we caught him yesterday morning. He was around the Omniplex area, stole a truck, and was hiding in people's garage, and thank you, someone called and indicated that he was in her garage, and we were able to catch him, so he's going back where he belongs, in jail, so that's good. Yes, and last thing, November 4th, let's not forget that 6:30, that's the second fold of my public consultation there. We will have Christine Palmer, the Crown Prosecutor, coming down to talk to the population, to whoever wants to come and have, whoever has questions about how the digital system works, what they can do as a person to protect their property. So it's a good chance to hear from the Crown Prosecution, their perspective, how they have to deal with cases in the courtroom. It's a good chance to talk with her. I will be there with some stats and answering other questions if people still have questions about what the police is doing, some of questions about the crime stat and whatnot. I will be there, so I invite everybody to come on November 4th at 6:30. It's the Mackenzie Centre.
All right, thank you. Questions, Council? Councillor McClure?
Two things. One, I've already expressed this to you this morning personally, Chris, but I think I would very likely speak for a number of people who would say thank you for a job well done, for leadership in the community, for taking forth a lot of initiatives to help communicate with people out there, which I think is a real move forward for us. Stats are stats. I don't know what they actually tell us. So we'll just have to see how things go as we move forward. But personally, I think a great job, and I've heard that both internally from your people as well as externally, so thank you for that. The accent, it's the same accent I listen to at home because it's my husband's accent, so I don't even hear the accent. But I do have a third question. With regard to high-speed chases,
Yes.
Could you talk about the protocol involved in that? Because I know that you were involved in one yesterday.
Yes.
Probably very close to the time that the community is very busy with people going to school, et cetera.
Yes.
Could you just tell us what the protocol is on that and what we should know or what we should expect in those situations? Thank you.
So in all fairness, yesterday morning a pursuit was declared. It was not, so a pursuit we see two vehicles and a police vehicle chasing the bad guys on a highway going at extreme speeds. This is not exactly what happened yesterday, although there was few moments where the bad guy was playing cat and mouse with us and hiding in some back alleys and stuff. So the member involved was kind of chasing him that way, speeding, tried to catch to go to his last known location. It's unfortunately not something we recommend in a rural area, residential area, especially at the time of the day that it happened. That's something that we address with the member. I think at the end of the day, I'm really happy that we caught him. He's going back to jail, but we have to look at the public safety in general. It was early, it was school hours. It would have probably been better to just call it quits and say we'll catch him later. So every time that there's a pursuit, it is first of all closely monitored. A supervisor has to monitor it, and it is everything is being assessed in terms of, is the squeeze worth the juice? So going that fast to catch that person, is it worth it? Because now we're putting other people at risk, or we're putting the member at risk and whatnot. So it's closely monitored. So that's basically basically how the RCMP addresses pursuits.
Anyone else? Councillor Wheeler?
Could you just, on the stats list here, explain on the Liquor Act what that kind of includes?
So Liquor Act, so basically, this one is anytime that there's a liquor offense under the GLA, so it would be someone that we charge, or not necessarily charge, but we've arrested for being intoxicated in public, or someone who had open liquor in public, or transported liquor in a vehicle in a illegal manner. So those would be the offenses. That particular one here in September, I don't have the specific of that one, but that's what's included under the Liquor Act. So it's basically, it would be a provincial offense regarding liquor where we could issue a ticket or arrest someone for. Yes.
Anyone else? Well, thank you, and thank you, as Councillor McClure indicated, for your work over the last several months, is it?
Yes.
We've been left holding the bag. Great job. Yes. We all appreciate what you've done. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a pleasure working with you guys. I really enjoyed it. But I'm not going too far. Just
excellent.
Being just going back into my sergeant job. But yeah, Malcolm will be the detachment commander. So.
Well, thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, next up we have public time. This is a new item on our agenda that allows for any members of the public that have, I think, what you call emerging issues to come and have a quick word with council. If anybody wishes to do so, now is your chance. No is a perfectly... Frank Newbury.
Good morning, everyone. My name's Frank Newberry, and I'm in a residence on 3732 49th Avenue, Drayton Valley. And during the afternoon of Monday, September the 22nd, 2014, I decided to count the traffic at the intersection of 38th Street and 50th Avenue, traveling east and west on 50th Avenue. And during that hour, between 3 o'clock and 4 p.m., I was seated on my sun deck on the back of my house looking north, viewing this intersection. I counted the number of cars, pickup trucks, school buses, tractor trailers, school children using the intersection during the hours of 3 o'clock and 4 p.m. And this is the total, and it is outrageous. 223 cars, 121 pickups, 13 school buses, 11 tractor trailers, and 20 school children trying to cross the intersection at the same time. It is unbelievable that the town of Drayton Valley and the town of Drayton Valley Council doesn't seem to be concerned about this residential area. Does town council have to wait until there's a fatality before these statistics sink in? And I'm a veteran, 81-year-old veteran. I'll be 82 in January. And I spent 5 years of my life in the military, and 2.5 years I spent overseas, guarding our freedom. And I should have the freedom to live in that area that I'm living in without this kind of thing going on. And also the fumes. There was a north wind then, and the fumes coming off of that 50th Avenue is unbelievable. It's not healthy, and it's not safe. When is the town council going to do something about it? Thank you.
Thanks for that, Frank. And I think what you're referring to is an upcoming decision that we have later on the agenda this morning. So if you stick around for a while, we'll... No, is it not? This is not? Am I? Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Now, this is the truth. I sat there with a county in
Okay,
my
no, I
hand.
appreciate that. Nesson, what do we do with this kind of information? Can we forward this to, well, Sonia is here. Is there, yeah. Okay, we'll get an official figure, see if it... Yeah, that's the other end. Yeah.
That's 392 vehicles in
That's-
1 hour.
That's a lot of vehicles, yeah. Councillor Shula?
Yeah, thank you for this. It definitely highlights a concern that I've had for a while, that that the traffic on 50th Avenue is high at especially at certain times of the day. Other times of the day, it's not as high. I'm just not sure, and I'd like to hear from you, what do you see as a solution to this? Because it's nice to get these stats and figure out, okay, we have high traffic, but what would be something in a solution that, you would think is acceptable?
You may not like my answer.
I like it.
I would take the bridge out on the ring road
Just stop
over
traffic.
the creek,
Okay. Well,
because that's mainly where the traffic
That's
is
what's
coming
bringing
from the
them in,
north. And it's coming right up 50th, and why they want to go up through a residential area, I don't know. Why don't they go down Highway 22? Maybe it's because there's stoplights on Highway 22, I don't know.
Could be. Councillor Dunn?
I was just wondering if it was at all possible for Jason to bring up a map, a Google map to show the area. I think it would be helpful for, I know, short notice.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if it'd be helpful. I live in Aspen View, so I'm aware of it, but it would just be to pinpoint the area you're talking about specifically. It'd be nice for...
I live on 49th Avenue.
Okay. Yeah. Just for the audience and for the community to know where it is, it would be helpful if we could have it on the map, and then we can all have a better idea. Because I know where it is, but maybe some of the other councillors may not. So it,
All your residents should have freedom, eh? And we shouldn't have to live with this, eh? We should have freedom to live without it,
Are you going to be able to make that happen, Jason, or are we? Yeah, thank you. Oh,
I brought up this subject before, and nothing has been done about it.
Oh, I got you. Right there, yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's why.
So one block west of the ring road, basically, right?
Yeah, I got you.
I live right on the cut line there for a pipeline, that goes beside me, so that property beside me, it hasn't got a residence on it. So I can see the traffic very well from when I park in my place. And the noise is not nice either.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
those trucks there, the pickup, the tractor trailers are hauling graders and you name it.
Yeah, I know that. I know the area well when you say that. Sonia, can we possibly take a look at this, as it's necessary, maybe get an official traffic count, and see what we can do to try and mitigate that? I'm not sure that, I know shutting the bridge on the Cooley Road would certainly do it.
You want me to point out where it is?
I know exactly where it is.
Right?
We know exactly where it is.
See it on there?
Look at the map. I can't see that happening, but there must be something we can attempt to do to see if we can limit this, Councillor Nadeau.
it was brought up when there was an application process for the development
Right.
2 years ago, and then again for this most recent one that was
A few
turned down
months
as
back,
well. And that's the vacant lot that you're talking about that you're able to see across now that's for sale. We did bring it up earlier in budget this year as just a reminder that those concerns are ongoing. So it has been part of our budget discussion this year. So it is being addressed, but we can certainly do the traffic count in the meantime. But it is something we have been in discussion very recently.
I've done a traffic count.
I know, but we need an official one as well. So we will take on that
Are you
as well.
questioning that crowd?
Nope, not at all. I would never question you, Rick. We just have to be official, but it is, just so you're aware, it is something that is on our priority list, and we are looking at
I
it.
lived there 23 years,
Yeah, it gets worse.
and prior to that bridge going in there, it was mostly just residential
The
traffic
area.
going down there into the residence. But now it's just unbelievable.
Yeah.
So are you more concerned with industry than residents?
No, as we said, we have started the discussion on it.
Eh?
We have started the discussion on it, Frank. It is a concern for us. We have brought it forward, and we are discussing it in this year's budget, so we can accommodate some changes and what we need to look at for that area.
Yeah, but You said you had a discussion about it 2 years ago.
It came up originally 2 years ago, but any
2
major
years from now,
infrastructure
I
is
thought
gonna,
it might not
gonna
be
come.
All right, we're not here to have a conversation, Frank. We appreciate you coming, and we do, and we will look at this very closely, guaranteed.
Another 2 years, I may not even be here.
Well, realistically, solutions take a long time to come into place, but we will ask Ness and Sonia to both look at something, and someone will be in touch with you about what we can do quickly and easily.
Another, can talk to the RCMP? Is he-
I believe he's left, but
What about the security on Remembrance Day?
I have no knowledge on that one.
We're going to have the Army there.
hmm
We don't want anybody shooting at the Army or the veterans.
No, we absolutely do not.
Have you, have
I
you
would-
discussed that at all?
We have not. This is the
That's
first.
only 13 days away.
This is the first meeting we've had since the events of last week, obviously. We can certainly bring it forward. We have a meeting this afternoon that we will take it to and look at something there, but I mean, you're catching me completely flat-footed here. I have no answer. I have no idea.
Because of that
Councillor
event
Bossert.
last week,
Councillor Bossert.
we need more security.
I think security for those types of events, Frank, are provided by the RCMP, so you need to talk to the detachment directly. I don't believe that the town can be involved with
Not
that.
the town prompt them?
It's between the Legion and the RCMP. I mean, the town attends, but we don't direct the RCMP to provide security for the Legion's event. It is through the detachment.
What would town council do if some of the soldiers that we invited, one of them got shot? What would the town council do with that?
Wow. We hope that that never comes to pass in our community, Frank, but for this event, it is an RCMP matter.
Be on TV nationwide?
I'm sure it would.
I'd suggest you speak to the RCMP, as Councillor Bossert suggests. Thank you. All right. Anyone else for public time? Then we shall move on to decision items. Subdivision application 9.1, Councillor Nadeau.
Thank you. Administration has received the following report from West Central Planning Agency regarding an application for residential subdivision on the lands of 4729 47th Avenue. On August 14, 2014, an application was filed to split an existing lot into two separate lots. The intent of the subdivision is to allow the development of a duplex to be built on the two respected lots. The property is located in a mature neighborhood. Surrounding homes on the floor are one-floor single-family dwelling units. However, there have been a few duplex conversions in the needed area. West Central Planning Agency conducted a site visit to the proposed lots on September 16, 2014. The proposed lots have walking access from 47th A Avenue. Vehicle access is achieved through a laneway provided at the rear of the lots. The site visit revealed that the lots have already been developed on prior to subdivision approval. The duplex was built on the site also appears to be out of scale compared to the existing residential houses in the neighborhood. However, zoning regulations in the land use bylaw does not prohibit what was built. One concern that was noted in the site analysis was the provision of parking space. The rear setback seems to be small with the provision for parking. It is also unclear how the developer will achieve the minimum parking space requirements under section 32.1 of the LUB. The subdivision proposal was circulated as part of the approval process. Concerns were raised from one adjacent landowner regarding parking. WCPA did not receive any further comments from external agencies, utility companies, or adjacent landowners. The draft approval letter contains standard conditions to include Front Street access for additional parking and to ensure the developer consults with the utility companies to ensure regulations are followed during and prior to the construction phase. The letter was received from the adjacent landowner, is attached for council's review. Given the size of the subject area, reserves are not owed as the land is less than 0.8 hectares, 2 hectares in size. Pursuant to the section 663C of the MGA, any land that is 0.8 hectares or less in size is not subject to the municipal reserves of any nature. Therefore, administration recommends that council approve, I'd like to put forward the motion, administration recommends that council approve subdivision application DV 1408 with the conditions attached as below.
All right. That was a long one. Any discussion on that motion? Councillor Wheeler.
I just have a question in there. When it says that the lots have already been developed, what exactly does that mean?
The specific lot or the lots that are surrounding it? The specific lot, the duplex was approved back in 2007. But it's in a mature neighborhood where the lots surrounding it have been developed for quite some time.
Councillor Shilo?
Yeah, I have a concern on item 4 of the attached conditions, and that's to provide off-street, provide front street access off 47A Avenue. That area has a lot of on-street parking now, and by doing that, we're going to be taking away even more on-street parking. So we're going to be creating more of a problem for the area residents, by doing that. Also, if I'm not mistaken, there's trees along there as well that would most likely have to be removed, and I don't see any condition in here to replant any trees that are removed. So there's an issue there that we're going to be removing some mature trees along the boulevard, and yet we're not asking them to, put anything back. In addition, if they provide front parking, it's contrary to the rest of the development that's there. No one else has front parking on that street. It all comes off the rear lane. So, the other part is the yards, having parking in front does not allow for the continuation of what the rest of the residents have with having, a front yard. There would be no front yard. It would be parking, because there is virtually no parking off the rear, which was an error when they built the development. We had to, I believe we granted approval because the building was set back so far that it was too close to the laneway. I may be wrong on that, but it is very close to the laneway. So this, with this condition, it definitely does not fit in with the rest of the development in the area. And I have real concern with that. As it sits, if it's one building, there is sufficient parking in the rear for for one resident, but to divide this up now. In addition, this building at one point had some issues through the building inspector and was not even approved for someone to live in it. Have those concerns been addressed, and is it suitable now for actual someone to live in it? Because I know at one point it wasn't.
The building inspector, the file is actually still open. There are a few deficiencies that still have to be corrected, but before the file can be occupied, the landowner and the applicant has to bring it all up to code. The parking issue in the rear, when the permit was approved in 2007, he was able to accommodate the parking. However, he built the foundation too close to the back property line, and at that point, administration was not enforcing the real property report, so we were unable to catch it at that time. So the best solution that we were able to come up with, and I had consulted it with the Director of Engineering as well, if we were able to do the front street parking. The landowner would have to be responsible for removing those trees himself and all costs associated with it. We do have one other, I know on that strip there's no front street parking. Across the street on 48th there, we did allow for front street access for a new fourplex. So Director of Engineering had no concerns with a front driveway, so that we were able to, or the landowner was able to accommodate the extra parking, since they built it too close to the property line on the back and took away from the parking that was originally approved for.
Councillor Bossert?
The real issue with this development on this property is that the landowner has developed without conforming or adhering to what was approved. He has set back the building, set back too far on the property. There's no parking in the back as there's supposed to be. We're now proposing that he parks in the front. There's been a long history with this property owner and this development. If there came a time where the property owner was unable to meet all of these recommendations, what is the ability of the town concerning this property if he does not meet these recommendations? Because we are put in a position now to accommodate his errors, which is not fair to the rest of the residents of that area. And I'm just wondering, how far can we go with this landowner because of the errors that he's made?
Should council approve the subdivision before it can even be registered on title that the lot is subdivided, he has to meet every condition that is listed here before the town will even send a conditions met letter to West Central Planning Agency. So he has to actually prove that everything has been completed before it can be registered. And that could take, it's up to the landowner as to how long it takes, but it does expire after a year.
And what can we do?
I can definitely take a look into that for you.
Councillor Wheeler.
Can you explain front street parking and what exactly you mean by that, and how many spots and what you're talking, where you're talking about taking that actual front street parking up?
The front street parking would be a driveway off the front of the house. So he has a fairly large lot, so he would be able to have a longer driveway there. He would not be able to take up the whole yard for a driveway, but something that would accommodate at least one or two vehicles on it, so that there are the number of required stalls.
Okay, so you're talking about there's already a duplex there. So even if he doesn't subdivide, there could be 2 families living in there, which means there could be at least 4 vehicles parked there anyway, even if we don't do anything about this. So he's offering to build a driveway to put some of them on there versus having all 4 of them on the street. Okay. I need clarification.
All right, any other questions? This side is very quiet. Councillor Cooper.
It's actually not a question, it's just a comment that came up from what Farrell just said. I just saw, I guess something on the news out of Calgary that was talking about the challenges with regard to parking and how households now have so many cars. And certainly with a lot of our families that are coming from away, they live larger numbers in a household in order to move forward. And so there will be a number of cars. And they're actually literally, and the city is now going to allow this, they will be taking away their front yards, they will be paving the entire thing. In fact, some have already done it in some neighborhoods. And these are nicer neighborhoods in Calgary where the entire frontage of the property is parking. Because when we say 2 cars, I mean, even look at some of our households, as soon as you've got a teenager, it's no longer 2 cars or whatever. So just a comment to thoughts on when we're doing development, that things may look different as we move forward because households look different. And we may have to consider those things as we make decisions.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Any more discussion on that motion? Then I will call the question. All those in favour? Opposed? Councillor Schuler opposed, if we can mark that for the record, and that was carried. Okay, and Councillor Schuler, you're up, 9.2.
So this is for development permit DB 14-158 at 3757 49th Avenue. So on September 8, 2014, a compliance certificate had been issued for Lot 24, Block 214, Plan 862, 1192, and municipally described as 3757 49th Avenue. In reviewing the real property report, it had been noted that the chimney on the principal dwelling was not meeting the required setbacks of the land use bylaw. In order for the subject property to be brought into compliance, a variance application must be applied for to allow for the structure to remain. Administration has received a variance application for the location of the chimney on the principal dwelling, as shown on the real property report. The west side yard setback is shown to be .089 meters from the side property line. The development of a chimney on a single-family dwelling is permitted use within the residential area. However, the landowner has applied for a variance as the setback from the side yard property line is less than the required 1.5 meters. Pursuant to Section 13.7.1 of the Town of Drayton Valley Land Use Bylaw, the Development Authority may allow a variance of 30% for any setback. As the side yard setback falls outside of this 30%, council approval is required. A letter was sent to the adjacent landowners, and no concerns were raised regarding the location of the chimney on the principal dwelling. I therefore move that council approve development permit DV 14-158 for variance of the west side yard setback of the principal dwelling with the conditions as noted below.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? Okay, all those in favor? And that's carried. Next, we have item 9.3, Councillor McClure.
Administration has received an application to rezone a parcel of land legally described as Lot 7, Block 66, Plan 0840074, and municipally described as 4503 49th Street. The proposed rezoning would change the land use from the current R2 General Residential District to C1 Central Commercial District. Such rezoning would allow the landowner to develop pedestrian-oriented commercial land uses. The developer is proposing to develop a gas bar with convenience store, two-bay car wash, drive-through restaurant, and a liquor store, all of which are discretionary uses under the C1 zoning and are considered non-pedestrian-oriented uses. Those uses which are included as discretionary under the C1 zoning would require the approval of council in order to receive development permit approval. First reading of rezoning bylaw 2014-10D was given at the July 16, 2014 regular meeting of council, after which the developer hosted an open house to present the proposal to surrounding residents for their review. A public hearing was held on September 10, 2014, where surrounding residents expressed their concerns regarding the rezoning in person, as well as having provided written submissions. Following the public hearing, second reading was given for the rezoning so that the developer could revisit their proposal and work with surrounding residents prior to third reading being considered. A second open house was held by the developer on September 15, 2014 to work with adjacent landowners. On September 23, 2014, a meeting was held with town administration and the developers to discuss the concerns raised by residents. Administration requested a preliminary traffic analysis be submitted to administration for review. This analysis was not provided. At the October 8, 2014 regular meeting of council, this item was tabled until the October 29, 2014 regular meeting of council, providing the developer increased time to provide the requested traffic analysis to administration for review. The developer has since provided the requested analysis. The analysis shows the projected increases in traffic volumes which would be witnessed should the rezoning and development proceed as proposed. These volumes have been compared to the projected traffic which will occur if the proposed development plans for the already approved zoning are accepted. 4 scenarios are showing assuming a percentage of traffic from pre-existing traffic. Traffic increases, which will be seen from the currently approved zoning, will be a 100% increase above pre-existing traffic. Traffic increases with the proposed rezoning and developments are assuming that pre-existing traffic will account for 25 to 60% of the overall traffic. Overall, a 3 to 15% increase in traffic for the proposed rezoning is expected above what will be seen with the currently approved zoning. 2 petitions, one in opposition and one supporting the proposed rezoning, as well as numerous written submissions and a mixture of opposition and support, all have been submitted for council's review. Pursuant to the open house held by the developer, 2 petitions, written submissions received from the resident, and the traffic analysis submitted by the developer, this item is brought forward for council decision regarding third and final reading. The motion currently on the table from the October 8, 2014 regular meeting of council is to refuse third and final reading to bylaw 2014-10D for the amendment of the land use bylaw based on the lack of information provided, as well as the feedback received from adjacent landowners. Rezoning bylaw 2014-10D is hereby presented to council for third and final reading. Well, we're not doing that. So I think I'm going to, a couple of questions that I'd had. So we currently have sitting on the books a motion to refuse, and I'm wondering if Chandra could help me a little bit with what happens with that motion so that we're educated prior to making a decision. Is that possible?
Yes, please, Chandra.
I think this is a matter of form. Can you please read out the resolution the way it is?
Okay. The current resolution is that I move that council refuse to give third reading to bylaw 2014-10D for amendment of the land use bylaw based on the lack of information provided, as well as the feedback received from adjacent landowners.
Sorry. So yes, we do have that motion in front of us. It's called back from the table from the last meeting. The refusal motion creates a little bit of complication in terms of voting for or against. To have a negative vote on a negative resolution creates kind of a complication in terms of what do we do next. What I'm suggesting and recommending to council is that that motion be withdrawn, and that should probably come from the councillor who made the initial resolution. The vote on that would have to be unanimous on the withdrawal of the motion. Following that, a motion to approve the rezoning could be made. This in no way inhibits council's ability to refuse that rezoning, so you still have the opportunity to vote in favor or against the rezoning. It just makes it a much more clear process. So if there's an approval motion made, if you're in favor of that, you vote for it, if not against, and then that clearly decides the issue. The way the refusal motion is, it creates a little bit of confusion, and this just would clarify things, I think.
Councillor Schumer has a question, I believe.
No, well, more of a statement. I disagree. The motion that's on is not to proceed with third reading. So if that motion is successful, then third reading does not happen. This whole thing dies. If that motion is defeated, then we proceed with third reading. Because the motion is only not to proceed. So if the motion's denied, then we have to proceed with third reading. And if we want to get a legal interpretation on this, but I'm 99% confident that's exactly what will happen, is we would then proceed with third reading and whatever happens. So either third reading would be approved or denied at that point. So this is, the only question here is if we proceed with third reading. That's what the motion is, and that's what we would decide upon.
And yes, we would need a legal opinion. I think that, as I stated, that makes things much more complicated. If the motion is withdrawn and a positive motion is made to approve, council still has the opportunity to vote against third reading.
I don't want to cut you off, Councillor Schumer, but the simple question here, Councillor Bossert, do you wish to withdraw your motion? I believe that's your decision anyway.
In the attitude to simplify things for the books, I will therefore withdraw my motion to refuse the reading.
This gets complicated. We have to have a vote on that? And it has to be unanimous. And I cannot vote on this issue because I missed the original public hearing. Seems like years ago, but yeah. Okay, so Councillor Bossert has requested to vote on the motion, so, which in itself is a motion which we have to vote on. So all those in favour? And opposed? Councillor Schumer is opposed, so that motion stays on, and that is what we have to vote on. Is that correct, Chandra? Or you have to vote on? Okay. So back to the motion as just made by Councillor McClure. I think I have this. Please, yeah.
Okay, so we are back to the motion that we arrived at today from our last meeting from Councillor Bossert, which is I move that council refuse to give third reading to bylaw 2014-10D for amendment of the land use bylaw based on the lack of information provided as well as the feedback received from adjacent landowners.
Okay, any discussion on that motion? Councillor Schuler.
Yes, I'm going to read something that I prepared for this, and I ask that council bear with me, because it is a little long. There's been a lot of misinformation going around with this proposed rezoning bylaw. In addition, there have been 2 petitions that were both misleading. I personally cannot accept either petition nor the signatures on it, and I encourage all of council to do the same due to their misleading nature. I will take into account the letters from the residents of Drayton Valley, especially those that live in the immediate notification area, as well as those that showed up at the public hearing. I do believe that a lot of people, and possibly some on council, are confused with the facts in this application. So I want to spell out some of those facts. First of all, this application is for rezoning only. It has nothing to do with the development permit, which will come later. We will deal with what is being proposed under this development permit at that time. Confusion on what is being proposed under this rezoning. Currently proposed is a liquor store, gas bar, convenience store, car wash, and drive-through business. I understand that even that has recently been modified, and there won't be a drive-through restaurant, but an actual restaurant, which shows nothing is guaranteed and changes can take place. There is no grocery store proposed for this area, as some people have been led to believe. The property is divided into 6 parcels. Current zoning north 1/3 property as residential. The center 1/3 as C1 commercial, and the south 1/3 is R4 residential, with some green space and a storm pond. And I kind of ask, is this the best interest of our citizens to make the most out of this land area commercial when what is being proposed could already be developed on the existing commercially zoned area within this property? Does council want to eliminate guaranteed current residential zoning on the suggestion that affordable housing may be built in the future? There have been a lot of verbal promises made by the current landowner and previous developer, but the current developer, Leduc Co-op, has not verified any of the verbal promises in writing. The Leduc Co-op has verbally stated that residential is not their expertise, but they may look at it. Currently, there is no area structure plan on file, which means there is no actual plan as to what will be developed in the 6 parcels on the site. The previous developer did submit a concept plan as to what they would like to build, but no development permits were applied for, and as such, no guidelines to follow or base future development on. There's currently no development permits approved for anything on the 6 parcels on this site. This includes basement suites and housing on the current C1 commercially zoned areas. So any future housing is strictly speculative, as this area is zoned C1 commercial. As for the R4 high-rise residential area, there is nothing to indicate that this will be entry-level or affordable housing. So under C1 zoning, what is the permitted uses? Well, retail, other than those listed, is discretionary. Motels and hotels, professional, financial, and personal service businesses, clubs, associations, places of worship and lodges, government, police and emergency services, public utilities, public parks and recreational areas, dwelling units above the main floor, building and use accessory to the above. Discretionary uses include, and it's subject to Schedule A, Section 2, adult businesses, but excluding establishments whose primary business is the sale of alcohol for consumption on the premise. Pawn shops, trade workshops, amusement arcades, businesses selling lumber or other combustible products, drive-in businesses, businesses selling or servicing motor vehicles, gas bars associated with retail stores, dwelling units at street level with their own separate entrance at street level, temporary portable signs, minor daycare operations, daycare facilities, group homes, retail liquor stores, buildings, and uses accessory to above uses. Uses not allowed are establishments whose primary business is the sale of alcohol for consumption on the premises. These are neither permitted nor discretionary. So far, out of the 5 businesses being proposed, 5 are discretionary. But again, this would be decided on the development permit stage of the application. Some residents have indicated that council should put conditions on the application. First of all, council cannot put conditions on zoning applications. Conditions can be attached to development permits. The land use bylaw indicates 19 potential conditions to a development permit, none of which allows council to force a developer to build entry-level or affordable residential housing, nor does it allow council to dictate pricing of any product. Those are the facts of this application, so the only decision that council has to make right now is, do they want to zone the entire property as C1, well, it wouldn't be the entire, 2/3 of the property as C1 commercial, and remove the guaranteed residential zoning. There's no guarantee that residential units will be built on the remaining C1 commercially zoned lands, and no way council can enforce entry-level or affordable residential housing of any type. So I do want to stress, even though I'm opposed to this rezoning, I do believe that Leduc Co-op would be a great corporate citizen for Drayton Valley. I encourage the Leduc Co-op to work with our administration to find a suitable location that is already zoned C2, which fits most of what they're asking for. That would make it much easier to locate the development that is being proposed.
Thank you, Councillor Schuler. Anybody else have anything to add to this discussion? Are we sure? Okay. So, just for everybody's clarification, and correct me if I get this wrong, Chandra, we have a motion in front of us. A vote in favour of this motion is a vote against rezoning. And just to remind everybody again, I will be abstaining because I was not at the public hearing. So, all those in favour? And opposed? Okay, that motion is defeated, which leaves us to proceed then to third reading. Would somebody make that motion? Please, yeah.
So that council give third and final reading to bylaw 2014-10D for the amendment of the land use bylaw and subsequent rezoning to allow development to proceed.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion? Councillor Bossart.
I'm sure that council and the public are very aware that this is an incredibly contentious rezoning application. As councillors, we are compelled to do what we believe is in the best interest of our entire community, as well as consider the best interest of those that are directly affected by any rezoning or commercial development applications. I myself have lost sleep over this rezoning application because I know it has implications for the entire community. But as a councillor, I am compelled to vote in the direction that I believe is best for the entire community. As Councillor Schuler has mentioned, there is nothing in writing that guarantees accessible, affordable rental property. However, this property has sat vacant for the entire lifespan of this community, and at this time we have a developer who has expressed considerable interest in moving forward with housing. In our community, essential services include a place to live. It is the utmost concern for me as a councillor that there is housing in our community. And it is my hope moving forward that Co-op, Leduc Co-op, or the developers coming in, do keep their interest that they have expressed in developing housing in the remaining pieces of this land. We may not need further gas bars, et cetera, but we do need housing. And at this point, with this developer coming forward, I believe this is our best hope for attaining affordable, accessible rental properties.
Thank you. Any other discussion on this motion? Councillor Hill?
Just reiterating last week, I think it's important to know that, and I agree with Councillor Bossert, that it has been, there's been both sides to this, and this is honestly in the 7 years that I've been on council. I have never seen this much outcry for and against it in 7 years. I've never seen this kind of conversation, and the conversation itself going on in the community is absolutely wonderful. I am so pleased, good or bad, I am so pleased that so many people took the time to be aware of what was going on in the community and have their voice added to the conversation. Because again, that's never happened in my 7 years, to have this amount of people both for and against. So I could not be more proud, I guess, of my community to actually put their voice forward, because it's rare and everybody does have a voice in the community, and for and against. So, and I echo everything that Councillor Bossert said there. And again, and to some of the things that Councillor Schuler has said too, I appreciate that you were very clear on what this was, that it is for zoning first, because that's something that I had mentioned the last time we visited it. Let's not get caught up in that, deal with one issue at a time. That next issue will be brought forward in the next resolution, and we can discuss that further. But the zoning at this time is what it is. So I appreciate your backgrounder. Yes, it was long. But I appreciate your backgrounder and your commitment to your opinion and who you're representing. And I think we all are doing that as well. So.
Okay, any other discussion on this motion? Then I will call the question. All those in favour? 1, 2, 3, and opposed? Councillor McClure and Schuler opposed, but that is carried, and again I abstained. At this point, I'm going to call a short break while we gather our wits. This will be a short break. I know there's people waiting. We'll try and be 10 minutes. Councillor Hill?
Is there an opportunity to share coffee and muffins for everyone who's in
By all
attendance?
means,
Feel
yes.
free to come back, and we have a quick break.
Yep.